Alright, Platina Ezel Encounter is here without encounter support unfortunately. Still wish they bring back those support units as encounters. But anyway, let's begin. So we start off with Inflamed Lion, which is grade 1 with keep power and skillless. Auto back row rear guard. When your unit is placed on another rear guard circle in the same column as this unit during battle, while your Vanguard is a clan, cost energy blast 2 to stand this unit. Considering that most of Ezel's cards bounce themselves in the mid battle and then you superior call in mid battle, this is technically fine for double boosting. But now there's a lot of cards that uses energy. With the second skill, auto rear guard. At the end of your turn, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Ezel and your unit was placed from deck this turn, you may put this to soul. Ezel does use a bit of soul, so this does help out with some of the soul part, but energy wise, it does kind of add up since the deck is starting to use quite a bit of energy, but double boosting is also pretty good, but it is personal preference if you want to run this or not. And then we go to Flash Feather Dragon, which is grade 2 with taking power in the skills. Count, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Ezel, this card gets all the following abilities. Auto, when placed on rear guard, cost count last 1. You either draw a card or choose a Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel on your Vanguard and change its drive check to 2 until the end turn. If you guys don't remember, Blonde Ezel can be superior ride with a drive -1, basically letting you go to grade 3 1 turn faster with 1 drive check. So this is just basically a +1 whether it's a Ezel drive check or a draw, which is of course very helpful, especially since you do need cards for your units. And in the second skill, auto rear guard, when this card attacks at least a grade 3 unit, you may have this card get plus 5k power, but if you do it at the end of the turn, put this to the bottom deck and then cost energy plus 3 to draw a card. Putting it to the bottom is mandatory, but the draw is up to you. But regardless, this is actually pretty good because it's just basically more draw power practically, while also being a decent solo attacker on its own. And now it's time for Blonde Ezel to break his limits to go the ultimate. Blazing Lion, Platina Ezel, which is a grade 3 with taking power in the skills. Count Vanguard, if your soul has the original Blonde Ezel in soul, it gets all the count and auto abilities along with a permanent plus 2k power. Active on your opponent's turn as well. So it's a 15k base as long as you have the original in soul, of course referencing the cross ride. And yes, if you do have multiple Blonde Ezels in soul, it stacks their abilities just like Maelstrom. So if you have 2 of them, you could actually activate the Soul Blast and attack skill twice. But the 2k buff is only once. In which the second skill is act Vanguard once per turn, costs counterblast 1, or put a grade 3 Ezel from rearguard to soul, and then choose a Reign Supreme King of Beasts from your drop zone and put it back to your hand, and plus 5 keep powering in turn. And if your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3, perform all the following abilities. This unit gets the skill in the end turn. Count Vanguard, all your front row units get plus 5k, and if you have 4 or more damage, crit plus 1 in the end turn. So not only that inherits Blonde Ezel's superior call skills, that includes the one in mid battle, that could potentially stack as well, but it does cost a lot of soul. This one also has a way to return your order card that superior calls more cards, so you could still just run 1 copy technically because your ride line searches it, while also helping with some of the power issues that your rear guards already have in Ezel, because your rear guards usually don't really get much power on their own. But luckily with this, even if it's a 5 keep buff, it is still something that adds up with those rear guard pressure attacks, which is actually pretty nice, especially those superior call attacks. And the extra crit just helps it with pressure, especially adding on the superior call in mid battle skill, which is just even more power for itself. So it is actually pretty decent as an upgrade, but you do need the original Ezel to actually make it good, of course. And speaking of original Ezel, of course run a little more copies so you could alternate the cost if you need to. Now the only other thing is that you do not get Persona Ride if you ride it on the original Ezel as well, and technically putting it in the ride deck wouldn't really serve too much of a purpose, considering that you need to superior ride the original Ezel, which will make you 1 turn faster in getting that one anyway. So in a way, by the time you ride this, it's kind of being on your grade 3 turn anyway. But if you do choose to put this in the ride deck instead, which will make your ride line not really that great, you do have the alternate cost of putting the Ezel to soul, which will default reactivate the first ability of inheriting the original, while also technically saving you counterblast, so you do technically want to run more Ezels anyway. So you do have some options, although personally I would actually stick with the original Blonde Ezel in the ride line so you could superior ride it, especially with your extra support to change its drive check back to 2. But that's just me. And finally, here's the secret rare, and for the Buddy Fight collab stuff, we have confirmation of which ride lines we're going to be getting so far, which is Drum, Jackknife, along with Ozzy Dahaka, which I'm actually quite excited for. And next week we got the Regalius piece. And so that's it for these reveals with the new Platina Ezel. What do you guys think of it? Honestly, a little bit iffy that you do not get to Persona Ride by riding on top of Ezel, the original one, but I kind of get why, because you've got the superior ride mechanic when it comes to Blonde Ezel, even if your opponent's still at grade 1, so you could actually be 2 grades higher than your opponent. So in a way, by the time that you ride into this, it's practically your actual main grade 3 turn, especially with the new support that does help out with the drive check and power problems a bit. And the new Platina Ezel itself of giving a little more pressure and helpful with the extra rearguard power and stacking abilities practically. But other than that, there's really not much to say about this other than it does improve the deck a little bit, but not that much. And see you all next time.